Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg with Cloudcast Media, and we are so pleased to have in the studio with us today Turn Behavioral Services. Jim Callaghan is the CEO and president of the organization. How you doing there, Jim? Twice in a week?
Twice in a week.
My God,
loving it.
Actually, 3 times to be honest with you. I had you on
Yeah.
twice last Friday. I was at the North County Philanthropy Council.
Oh,
a
nice.
Big shindig up at Rancho Bernardo Inn for Volunteers of the Year.
Yeah, that's right.
Jim brought some of his team in, joined by Brad Bianchi. He is the vice president of strategic partnerships. What's up, Brad?
Good to see you again, Drew.
It's been a while, my friend.
It has.
How you been?
I enjoy you so much.
Well,
Been terrific. Can't
good.
complain.
The world's keeping you busy?
Yes, very busy. Jim's keeping me busy.
Yeah, well, Jim keeps everybody busy, and for good cause over here. I'm honored to have back in the studio with me my co-host into her 4th year of co-hosting our Spotlight on the Community Show. Kristen Fogel, she is the executive director of San Diego Writers Inc. So was it easy to get back in the saddle, so to speak?
It's so easy. It's,
It's natural, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I miss when I'm not here. You know, I
trust me,
think about you. I dream.
Yeah, well, it'd be a nightmare if you're dreaming. I'll tell you that in that aspect of it.
Well, you said it.
That's
so.
right. I mean it. Kristen, I know you have a
let's
question
kick
for
it
Jim.
off.
Yeah.
So just tell us about the mission of the organization and maybe a little bit about what you do.
Okay. Well, we've been in business for about 45 years. We'll be celebrating our 50th year in June of 2028 and going to have a big gala. But our focus is, our mission statement is simple: improving lives. And so that's what it's all about. We focus on substance use, criminal justice, behavioral health needs in all of our communities, mental health, and also housing and veterans we support. We're in 7 counties throughout California. Our gross revenue is $130 million, and we have about 750 employees. That kind of goes ups and down. But we're in Santa Clara, we're in Fresno, we're in Kern, we're in Kings County. We're in San Bernardino County, Orange County, and San Diego County. So we have a pretty big footprint across the state of California. We're a 501c3 nonprofit.
How many folks do you serve?
15,000 we could eventually touch any day if they all said at one time they needed services. So that's up and down, but it's about 15,000 are in our continuum of care for services.
Right. Brad, listen, this is in your wheelhouse. You love working on strategic partnerships. How's that been going in some time of a tumultuous economic area? And that's probably being a little bit understated, to say the least.
No, you're absolutely correct. We've made great strides. In the last year, we made great strides. Of course, we're trying to diversify our funding.
That's right.
Yeah. So we're starting to bring donors to the table. We've got a great announcement we're going to make today about a particular donor, a major donor, and we're working on our Courage to Call campaign. So we've got so much going on. We've got a marketing team in place. We've got a PR firm that we've hired, and we're meeting with people like you. So everything's going pretty well.
Yeah, you just can't shout this stuff out enough. Jim, we were chatting about last Friday, unless you live in a different solar system, and I'm sure they have the same issues in the Milky Way somewhere, mental health crisis has never been as big as it is right now. And I'm not sure if there's any way we see it even, settling at all. Talk about that.
Yeah, it is. It's probably the biggest crisis now that we all face, and it's across all age groups, demographics, ethnicities, and we see it everywhere. Even in our children that are entering young school age now and dealing with it. And there's just not enough people to be able to service that are really focusing on the industry. Our biggest challenges are labor and also, obviously, funding in today's environment. But as Brad said, I think we're doing a tremendous job. We've really been pushing out there and delivering those services. One of the key things that I'm so excited about is we just were awarded a large RFP in Hanford, which is in the center of the Central Valley. And we're going to open up 3 clinics. We'll have 1,800 clients and probably 40 staff members that we have to stand up shortly in the fall timeframe. But that gives you the idea of the investment that the state is still making into these types of services in the most rural areas of our communities in California.
Well, and you hit on something that Kristen and I have chatted about with some of the groups that do like work that you folks do at Turn, and that is the school-age kids.
Yep.
And you hear this because of our work with the schools, all 43 school districts, at least in San Diego County. You guys are statewide, of course, of the mental health issues that these kids are facing from TK through 12th grade. I'm preaching to the congregation. Is massive. And so if they even have a chance to meet somebody in that field, the next time they're going to see him is maybe 12 months down the road. If that. Is it the fact that people are just not engaged in the types of folks you need to get hired, or what other reasons?
Well, we're not seeing a lot of people major in social services.
Okay.
I think one of our biggest institutions here in San Diego, in North County, Cal State San Marcos, they really do a good job, and we have a really big internship program with them, and we're really trying to get the word out there about the need for social services in our community. It's a big challenge right now, even for the medical field. Gene Ma was at an event last night. He's the CEO of Tri-City Medical Center, and was saying, I'm still having a hard time getting x-ray technicians. I'm still having a hard time with anesthesiologists. So it seems post-COVID, we have a lot of people that aren't necessarily focused in the medical or even the social service arena as a business and also as a career.
Yeah, so Brad, how do we change that?
Well, we bring the private donors to the table. Talk about those 2 issues right there. We have our community and school-based program. The Thursday Club, they do the rummage sale over there at the Balboa Park. They just gave us some of the proceeds from that as a form of a grant. So we still have private foundations ready to step up, and help out. The Art Pratt Foundation just gave us monies for computers for our programs, all around the mental health issue. So really, foundations get it. They get it, that mental health is the underlying tenet to everything that we need to do.
Well, when you think about it, and Kristen, we've talked a lot about this on our show over the years. You've been a co-host, and even before then, that when people try to separate mental health and physical health, I go, you can't separate those two. I talk about that, Jim.
You just can't separate them. I mean, your physical health, it also. I changed my whole outlook on physical health and my medical health. I go to a holistic doctor now up here in Carlsbad, and it has completely changed how I look at things, how my mental state is. And it starts with diet, exercise, and just doing all those types of right things. So I think, it was really interesting. We were at the Invictus celebration on Monday.
I know I couldn't make it.
Oh, it was wonderful. And
And
what was the chef's name?
Irvine.
Yeah. And so he was there, and he's the chef for the Invictus Games, and talked all about diet and how exercise and diet are really closely linked, that will help your mental health, right? So,
yeah, and we all know that. We're chatting with our friends from Turn Behavioral Services, Jim Callaghan, CEO and President, joined by his colleague, Brad Bianchi, Vice President of Strategic Partnerships. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 60-plus years of doing great things in the community, whether it's focusing on health, it's financial literacy, it's food insecurity, and everything in between. Joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel. She's the Executive Director of San Diego Writers, Inc. Kristen, other questions for Jim or Brad?
So many. Brad, it sounds like you have a lot of amazing programs, so I wonder if we could dip into some of them. I'm just reading some of them right now. So can you talk to us maybe about Courage to Call?
Yeah,
for starters?
Absolutely. We'd love to. 60 programs.
That's
Only
amazing.
one of these programs is for veterans, and that's our Courage to Call program. We got the notice last year that we're losing $1.5 million in funding. after a very, very good partnership. So we still have a very, very good partnership with the city, and we're so grateful for that. But now what we've got to do is pivot, right? We've got to get the private donors to the table. So the announcement that we get a chance to make, and I'm going to take the glory, if you don't mind, Jim.
Go right ahead, Brad.
This will be your last day working for Turn, of course.
We have a private donor who came to the table with $500,000. $250,000 of that is a match. So we've launched our Keep Courage Alive campaign, and that is where we're at now. That's why we're
Congratulations.
Yeah, and we're very
That's
excited.
huge.
And, you know, I hate to give Jim this kudos, but the truth of the matter is he deserves it. When we found out that we were losing this program, and, you know, organizations like ours lose programs every once in a while.
Right.
Many people in the organization might have said, well, let it go. We got other programs coming on board. We're good. But to Jim's credit, he said, no, we're going to keep this and we're going to make it work. And he reached out and he said, what does it look like? What does it look like when we got a chance to do it on our own? When we can shape it the way we want to shape it? So there's all sorts of enhancements that we have designed for this program. And the donors are starting to step up, and they're starting to realize that this is a vital resource. If we do not save it, and it's built trust. It's built trust over 17 years with the veterans. So we're excited in some way.
We're really excited. You know, the data, there's 200,000 veterans in San Diego alone, 100,000 active military. Not only do we serve the veterans, but we serve the active military and their families. And so it became a passion for me to say we can't let this go. We're in a military town, right? And we're already seeing calls coming in because of what's happening in the Middle East. So I think that's going to ramp up when our young men and women come home from defending us as a nation over there in the Middle East right now. So don't want to get on the politics side of it, but the veteran side of it, we've been out to almost every veterans community in town and pushing and advocating for Courage to Call and keep the courage moving forward for all of our veterans. And I think the key thing about the program, and I need to thank the County of San Diego and the Live Well group for funding us for 17 years. It came down to a business decision for the county. Unfortunately, we were on that business side. And but I even emailed with them and said, I'm not letting this go. I'm going to raise money, and we're going to keep this program standing up. And they said, you know, thumbs up. Really good luck, Jim. And so we're at that point now where we've got some good bridge funding coming in while we make this a long-term program.
Yeah, that sounds great. We come back from break. I want to hit on that same point, and we talk about this quite a bit. We're the largest military port in the country, with the Marines, of course, and the Navy, and the Coast Guard, and smattering of Army and Air Force. But it's not a political issue. We're going to come right back from a quick break and get back with our Turn for Behavioral Services folks. Jim Callaghan, CEO and President, joined by Brad Bianchi, Vice President of Strategic Partnerships, after this short break.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and we are back I'm chatting with our friends from Turn Behavioral Health Services. Our Spotlight in the Community show is the nation's longest-running community podcast. In our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, joined by Jim Callaghan, CEO and President of Turn Behavioral Health Services, then his colleague Brad Bianchi, Vice President of Strategic Partnerships, joined by my co-host Kristen Fogel of San Diego Writers Inc. Congratulations on this match and this continuing trying to support this Courage to Call aspect of it. But I know, Brad, you wanted to talk about Feeding San Diego.
Yeah, we're particularly proud of our partnership with Feeding San Diego. And one of the enhancements we choose to make for this program is to enhance our food distribution. So we intend to do more of it. We intend to deliver cold food, and we're finding more and more need. Right, as the government shut down or partially shut down, whatever it might be, we're finding more and more people in these lines. So we just want to give a shout out to them. You know, Admiral Bob and his team over there have been truly amazing for us, and they've worked very closely with us on food distribution.
Well, I think it's something we've have them on our show, and of course our good friends at the Jacobs and Cushman Food Bank as well that we're working with Casey. And I think the thing that stuns most people, Kristen, you and I have talked about it a lot. 800,000 of the folks living in our region are food insecure.
Yeah.
And how could that's not possible? Oh, it's possible.
It's possible.
And you know, maybe Jim, before I send it back over to Kristen, you can talk about there's a connection between food insecurity and mental health.
Yeah, there definitely. Well, I think one of the things for what we do with Feeding San Diego and for the active and veterans is every 2 Saturdays a month we're feeding out of our facility. Free food, they come by, they pick it up, and even during the week we get people that are brought over from the VA. So along with Feeding San Diego, we're installing new refrigerators and freezers so we can have fresh food right there and to be able to deliver it out even during the week and not just on the weekends. But the food insecurity with mental health, as I talked about earlier, you've got to have good food security to be able to have strong mental health and be able to really get through the days when you struggle with mental health illness.
Well, and I think one of the things with Feeding San Diego, of course, and you know the Jacobs and Cushman, food bank, we're talking about nutritious food, and there's such a huge difference between that and just food in this aspect of it, and I think that's so critical. Kristen, what other questions you got for Jim and Brad?
Yeah, so, you know, aside from the veterans that are near and dear to our hearts, you've got this teen recovery center. So I thought maybe we could talk about that. Right.
You know, it's interesting about Turn Behavioral Health Services is we're not just in one modality. We're not an adult and older adult, and we're not just focused on children. We're across the board. Yeah. And sometimes that's really good for us. And sometimes it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like when one program goes down or gets canceled, there's going to be money that's going to be put in another arena. But our teen recovery centers, we run 2 of them out of the 3, are in the Escondido area and Central area. And that's where families come when together with their teens to work through issues. You know, it's like, give you an example. I've been there at the Teen Recovery Center when a mother comes in and she's just distraught because her daughter doesn't realize how bad her drinking has gotten, and she's a high school senior, cheerleader, everything else, but it's the alcohol that is becoming an addiction for her. So we work with that family. We get her into detox if she needs to be in detox, but we work right with the family at our teen recovery centers, and it's also a place for teens to come after school, right? And there's arts and crafts and games and licensed clinicians that are there to talk through with the teens. And also at our teen recovery centers, we do a lot with our undocumented in our communities, which is a big issue for us right now. As you all know, we probably won't go in that direction today because we could talk for an hour on the problems that are occurring, but people are scared. People are nervous, so they come to a teen recovery center for that comfort and that security.
As they should.
To be there. So
and they should, and that's a safe haven.
Yeah.
And there should be many safe havens, but that's for another conversation,
yes.
Jim. You know, in that area. You know, I want to get back to you know, the mental health you know, aspect of this, and Brad, maybe you can tee us off on that, and you can add to it, Jim. There's a lot of great groups that you folks work with. One of our good friends is 90 a year young plus G. McAllister, and who does some great work and all that. Talk about how you work with other groups to 1 + 1 = 8.
Well, we work with all of the other CBOs throughout our county, because if there's other services that we can't provide and they need those services, we'll refer back and forth, right? In fact, with the McAllister organization, they're really focused on SUD.
Right.
So they have good detox and stuff like that. So we'll refer our clients over there to go through the detox protocol and then take them back once they're detoxed. We have a women's family recovery center in Oceanside, and strictly dedicated to women. And so they'll go to detox at a McAllister organization, and we'll refer back and forth between our drug courts, and other CBOs that are out there delivering services. And there's many of them that we work with. We also work with a number of educational institutions and have memorandum of understandings between organizations, and do a lot of internships all over the United States. We're getting people in that are focused on delivering great quality services.
And hopefully those interns are going to turn into those folks.
Yes.
And build up that
Yes.
workforce that you folks have been talking about. You know, and Brad, there's something Chris and I talk about quite a bit on this show. And you mentioned about the woman coming in with her, distraught because her teenage, daughter has some alcohol issues.
Yeah.
We know when you certainly support one person, you're supporting not that one person, you're supporting that family. Talk about that, Brad.
Well, talk about the Courage to Call program. In fiscal year 24-25, we had 3,831 outbound referrals. That's where someone reached out to us, and we were able to reach out to other nonprofits and work with them, or whatever it might be, for housing or whatever it might be. So we're proud of that. We're actually proud of the fact that we don't operate in a silo. Nonprofits have to work together. And I think as you look at foundations or individuals, that's what they want. They don't want to hear that you're competing against another nonprofit, because we're not. We're working together to solve the same solutions, to get the same solutions.
Yeah.
So we're proud of that, actually.
Yeah. So, Brad, shout out how we can continue to support the great work at Term. How do we get a hold of you guys?
Well, first of all, the best way to go is to go to our website, because if you need services, if you need help, you can also see our programs there. So that's the first place to go. And then, of course, we got our donation page, and you can go and make a donation. That's the easiest way to do it. You can set up monthly. You can set up individually. You can reach out to us, want to talk about the programs. You want to take tours? Give us a call. We love to give tours of our programs. Some people care about one thing, and some people care about another. Some people might care about the veterans, but then we got our FRC, which is a family recovery center, women and children. So some people care about that. Go to the page, find out what we're all about, and say, hey, I'd like to learn more about Turn. The interesting thing is 60 programs, about to celebrate our 50th anniversary, and not many people know us. And the truth of the matter is that's because we rebranded years ago, and we're really getting our name out there now.
Mental health systems, right?
It used to be mental health systems.
Yeah.
I know.
And so reach out to us and find out what Turn's all about. But more than that, if you know somebody needs help, go on the website and reach out to us and say, hey, I have somebody I think should be in this program, and we're happy to help.
And that's happened. Jim, any final comments?
Yeah, I think to tee off of what Brad just said, when I'm out in the community, there's a lot of times that people come and yank on my coattail and say, my family and I need help. And so what I'll do is get with that family, figure out and get our clinical people with that family to see what we can do and help. And I think, that's the word of mouth is probably one of the best avenues for people if they're really looking and struggling with mental health, or their families are.
Well, and listen, you folks have been doing this for a while. And,
Yeah.
and not only been doing it for a while, you've been doing it really well for a while. And we all know that. That when someone makes a recommendation, you need to be working with her. Because look what it did for my family or my whomever on this thing. You can't pay for stuff like that. Jim, it's good seeing you again.
Good to see you again, too.
And Brad, the same thing with
Good
you
to
as
see you.
well. The work you're doing is absolutely life-changing. You know that. It's impactful. Courage to Call. Make those donations, folks. Let's make up that deficit. Congratulations on the donor. That is very exciting. And on this, and when we have you next time on it, it'll say we've made the 1.5 million.
Yeah,
that's right.
And that's what we're going to do. Kristen Fogel, as always, appreciate you sitting in the catbird seat. Thank you.
Anytime. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm Drew Schlosberg, Cloudcast Media. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by the fine folks of Mission Fed Credit Union. And to our audience, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.